Joining us now as we continue our post-draft general manager interview series, the GM of the New York Jets. He is Joe Douglas. Joe, welcome to the program. How are you, pal?
Doing great. It's good to be with you, Mike.
Well, it's great to finally talk to you in a setting like this. Things have slowed down a little bit, although they never really slow down. And today's a big day. As we tape this, we still don't know what the full schedule is for the 2023 season. Do you already have your full slate of 17 games? And if so, will you tell us what they are?
Yeah, I think that's kept behind lock and key by the powers that be. So I know that they've announced our Black Friday game, first ever Black Friday game against the Dolphins. That was announced yesterday, and then they just announced our opener against the Bills at home on Monday night. So great opportunity to start the season for us.
What was your first thought when you saw that that's how it begins? Big test at home, defending division champion right out of the gates.
Yeah, defending division champs. Obviously, a great organization, a team that we respect a great deal, and it's going to be a great test and a great opportunity. September 11th, there's going to be a lot of energy, a lot of emotion in the stadium,
and it's going to be good preparation for some of these other games you guys are going to have. Plenty of big moment, standalone primetime games. You knew that surely when you acquired Aaron Rodgers. Is that part of the reason that you did this, to help make the Jets an attraction, a destination for the NFL for as long as he's part of the team?
Well, I think when we brought in Robert and his staff, we wanted to make this a destination for every player. We want to make this place a place where players know that they come in here and they can leave knowing that they're better off, that they had a great experience with staff, they had a great experience with coaches, they left a better person than when they came in. So we've always wanted to make this a destination, and to see it come to fruition in some ways with a player the caliber of Aaron Rodgers wanting to be a part of what we have going on, it's a special thing.
You mentioned that Black Friday game, first time ever. It's different than playing on Thursday. Obviously, it gives you another day on the front end to get ready. I don't know how much you know about the schedule either before or after, and I don't know how much you would tell me anyway, but I'm just fascinated by the overall preparation when you're talking about a game that's never been played before, afternoon, day after Thanksgiving. You guys are kind of the guinea pigs for what seems like something the NFL is going to do each and every year moving forward.
Yeah, it's exciting, and from our perspective, I mean, it's a day after Thursday, so but it's still a short week, similar to the Thursday games. It's just going to be unique to be playing on a Friday, 3 p.m. the day after Thanksgiving. But I know everyone here is very excited.
Joe, take me back to the moment after the regular season, assuming it even happened after the dust settled on 2022, when the light bulb first went off on the possibility of adding Aaron Rodgers to your team.
Well, I think we were at the point after the season where we were looking at many different avenues to pursue at the quarterback position, adding a veteran quarterback. As we went through our process, as we were putting our tiers together at that position, just happened to get a call from Green Bay, and at that point, they were still exploring the direction that they were going to go in, but it was just a simple question. And hey, if we did trade, if we were going to be trading Aaron, would you guys have interest? So that created another avenue for us to look into. And as we went through our offseason process, it was clear to us that this was going to be the top person we wanted to add.
Do you remember when it was that you first got the green light to talk to him directly about possibly playing for the Jets?
Yeah, it was towards the end of the combine. I want to say the last day of the combine is when Green Bay and Brian gave us permission to reach out to Aaron and have discussions with him.
When you met with him in California, how much of the conversation was you and the other Jets representatives selling Aaron Rodgers on playing for the Jets, or did he seem like he was already inclined to do so?
Well, we didn't treat it as a situation where we're just going to do a hard sell. We wanted to go in and just be as authentic and genuine as we can possibly be, get to know Aaron, see where he was at with his career, see where he was at in this moment, his expectations, answer any questions that he would have about us as people, us as our organization. But it was pretty quick in the process. He was well versed in everything we were about, roster wise and culture wise.
If you happen to be watching our morning show on Peacock or listening to it on Sirius XM 85 today, you may have heard that I was trying to sound out ways to ask you this next question. So you'll know in advance what it was. But I'm trying to determine what the line is for you, for the Jets this year, the pass-fail line for the Aaron Rodgers year one with the Jets. What makes it a success? What makes it a failure? Where's that line that separates the two?
Well, yeah, look, anytime you add a player like Aaron Rodgers, we know that there's expectations going into the season. We're not going to run from those expectations. But ultimately, Mike, like it's May 11th, and we're going to do everything we can. We're focused on this day, and I know it sounds cliche, but we're focused on May 11th, and then if we focus on this day, then September 11th should take care of itself. So again, we know what adding a player like him does to the perception and the expectation of our team, but we're just attacking the day.
You've seen a bunch of different quarterbacks in your time in a practice setting. What was your first impression of seeing Aaron Rodgers on the practice field throwing the ball around?
It was, I've said this a lot, it was certainly a surreal moment to see him walk out with the green number 8 jersey and just watch him in his signature throwing motion when he follows through, and he's got a special follow through that, and he holds it, and you watch him throw that first pass, and it's like, man, I can't believe he's here, and look at that ball jump off his hand, so you're in awe for a few seconds, and then it's all right, let's get back to work, let's get going. But it was a special moment for sure.
The trade was a long time coming, and I appreciate the fact that you gave those of us in the media plenty of things to discuss during the window from when he first said he intended to play for the Jets and the deal was finally done. But some of the terms that I'm curious about, the conditional pick for next year, because I said all along, hey, we have a template for this trade, at least for part of it. You just blow the dust off of the Brett Favre terms from 2008 and you apply them here with that formula that took a 4 to a 3 to a 2 to a 1. There was some reporting yesterday from ESPN that basically the Packers' position was, we're going to go with playing time only because it's up to the Jets to win. It doesn't matter from our standpoint what the Jets do with the playing time. Can you give me some insight as to what caused you to eventually agree with a playing time only trigger to go from a second round pick to a first round pick?
Yeah, well, I mean, when we started this and we were talking about the conditions, there was a lot of different scenarios and proposals out there. But I would say, you are right to the degree that at the end of the day, Green Bay was very steadfast in that they wanted to make this about playtime only. And so I felt like once we got into the weeds on what the playtime percentage could be, we got to a point where we felt comfortable pulling the trigger on the deal.
Was there ever a time where you seriously considered walking away? And I guess second part of that, was there a time when you considered saying to the Packers, fine, keep him and pay him $60 million this year? Fine. We'll wait until you call us when you're ready to unload that financial obligation from your books.
Yeah, there were several points, I would say tenuous points in over the course from the combine to now. Never, I could say never a point where we felt like we were just going to turn our back and walk away. I felt like the conversations that Brian and I were having were positive. And of course, there were some sticking points here and there, but ultimately we were able to get on the same page. But through the process, we had decisions that we had to make in terms of which avenue we were going to pursue, and so ultimately we made the decision to pursue our number one choice and follow it through, see it through.
Did you think that there was a realistic chance they would just keep him on the team and put him on the bench and pay him all that money just to, I don't know, prove a point or to show that they were serious in their negotiating posture?
Look, that was certainly one scenario that they could have followed through on. Whether or not we thought it was real or not, our focus was always just let's get this player in the building, and we knew there was things that they could do. They knew that there were some different avenues that we could possibly go down, but ultimately, I think we were both working in good faith to get this deal done.
Do you think it helped or hurt the process that the Packers don't have a traditional owner?
Well, it's a unique situation, right? I think they're the only team that doesn't have an owner. But I felt like working with Brian, like I've mentioned before, I've known Brian a long time, and I know the caliber person that he is, stand-up person, high character person, and I feel like our relationship, our coming up in this business together, really helped get this deal done at the end. But like I felt like everything they did was in good faith. I felt like everything we did was in good faith, and we were ultimately able to get this deal done, and both sides happy.
I felt like they pushed pretty hard to get the 13th overall pick in the draft this year as the primary piece of compensation. Did you have to fend them off aggressively and convince them early on that's just a non-starter, you're not getting that pick?
Yeah, that was an important thing for us to keep through these negotiations. And at the end, we did the pick flop, 13, 15. But it was important for us to keep the first round pick. I felt like, and for them, it was important for them to have a pick in this year's draft. So, I felt like we were able to really accomplish what we both set out to do.
How do you react to the noise that's out there that Patriots coach Bill Belichick deliberately took not much from the Steelers to let them slide up one spot in front of you once you fell from 13 to 15 to get perhaps a player that you guys would have taken in Broderick Jones?
Yeah, that's just noise. We were comfortable with our list. We were comfortable with our rankings. We knew the perception that was out there in terms of who we would possibly be taking. I tell you that we weren't surprised when it happened, and there's a lot of different conversations that are happening before and during your time on the clock, and so we were having some conversations, and we weren't surprised by that move, and we were very comfortable in following our board and following our rankings and taking a pass rusher like Will McDonald, who we feel is one of the most dynamic rushers in this draft.
Joe, there's been some reporting and some analysis as it relates to changes made on the way out the door in Green Bay to the Aaron Rodgers contract. And I've gotten the impression that maybe there's still some work to be done on your end. Where do things stand with his contract, specifically as it relates to the possibility that he'll emerge from this with, as a practical matter, a 2-year commitment to the team?
Yeah, we knew at the end of the trade that Aaron and Green Bay needed to work some things out. We didn't know the exact ramifications. It was just important to us that the cap number wasn't going to go higher than it was at the time that we agreed to it. And we didn't know that it was actually going to go down to the minimum. So when they redid the deal, we saw the new number, saw that it was low for this year. We're still working on restructuring aspects of the deal as we speak, but we feel like we're in a really good place.
And is it accurate that all you owe him currently, without any further contractual adjustment, is the minimum salary for this season?
Yeah, so he, as part of the restructure prior to the trade, he went down to the minimum.
So basically the $58.3 million option bonus, all of that got kicked into next year.
Everything was kicked into 2024.
And the question now is how much of it's going to come back to this year and how that's going to be structured from every standpoint. And I guess within that final resolution would be the clues as to whether or not he's sticking around for 1 year or two. Is that fair to say?
Right.
Joe Flacco's still floating around out there. You got 3 quarterbacks under contract. Do you anticipate that Flacco could be back in New York this year?
Yeah, we're always going to keep the door open when any good player is available out there. Joe's been with us for a few years. And when his number's been called, he's come in and played really good football, and obviously knows a Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl winning quarterback. So look, if there's an opportunity for quarterback for any position out there where we can come in, where they can come in and upgrade the team, we're gonna keep that door open and look at ways that we can upgrade the group.
Joe, what is your hope as it relates to the impact of Aaron Rodgers' presence on Zach Wilson and his future?
Yeah, I think you see these last 2 weeks the impact of the entire team, and that's you see the standard that he sets for himself every day out here in practice, and you see all these players out here. No one wants to be the player that drops a pass or false starts or screws up an assignment. You can see that pretty early. And I think the really cool thing as it pertains to what you asked about in terms of Zach Wilson, it's been great to see these guys work together. Those 2 guys specifically work together, and see Zach just be a little bit of a shadow to Aaron and pick up on some things in terms of how he communicates with teammates, his cadence, just every small thing. You see all these guys picking up on it in these last 2 weeks.
It felt like last year the goal of the benching of Zach Wilson during the season was to find a way to set the reset button. This feels like an opportunity for at least a full season reset, maybe a 2-season reset. And then the idea would be he gets an opportunity to take over the job when Aaron Rodgers is gone. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think the reset, and you're right. You know, when the change was made at the end of in the second half of last year, the intent was for Zach to reset and really get back to basics, and that's carried over into this offseason so far. And so I've talked about it several times, but Zach has an unbelievable ceiling, and Zach is wired the right way in terms of his love of the game, his work ethic, his attention to detail. And so this is a great opportunity for him to shadow one of the best passers of all time in Aaron Rodgers and pick up every little thing he can from him and get better every day. And so I know he's attacking this offseason like no other. His energy level is unbelievable. It's good to see him with huge smile on his face and really working every day to get better.
What's the biggest lesson you've learned for your own purposes in your own career moving forward as it relates to the selection of a young quarterback with a first-round pick and the timing for putting him on the field?
Yeah, that's a good question, Mike, because I go back and I look at a lot of things and things that can be done differently, things that were in our control, out of our control. And every situation is different. I feel like in today's NFL, when you take a quarterback in the first round, if you take a quarterback high, the time's against you, and you need to see what you have so you can make a decision in that 4-year window, 3-year window. I think going back, it would have been great to have a veteran quarterback like a Joe Flacco in that first season. But ultimately, we made the decision to jump in head first with our youth movement. We had so many first and second year players, new staff. Let's go in and attack this thing with youth. We know there's going to be some growing pains, but we're all going to grow together. And so I think we saw some of the benefits of that last year. But sometimes you don't take into account the ramifications of playing a young quarterback early in his career. And so I think if I had to do everything over again, I would have probably had that veteran presence in the room early for Zach.
And beyond that, I think it makes it very difficult in today's NFL, where every year is its own self-contained team. everything changes so much from one year to the next. If you're going to use the second overall pick in the draft on a quarterback, you better be ready to play him. Otherwise, you should be using that pick on someone else who you'd be ready to play right out of the gates.
Right.
All right.
Look,
Last one.
those were all the things we talked about, Mike.
Yeah.
We went through just like we did this offseason. We went through every single scenario in terms of not using pick number 2 on a quarterback, trading pick number 2 to acquire more talent, using pick 2 on a quarterback and keeping Sam as a veteran presence. We went through every scenario. Ultimately, we decided to really attack the youth movement and go young, and we didn't look back.
Well, it worked last year with both the offensive and defensive rookies of the year for the entire NFL in Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. Last question for you. Which guy of those two do you think has the higher ceiling going forward?
Oh, man. It's not just those two, Mike, from last year's class. I mean, I feel like every single guy in that class has a huge ceiling. And I think every guy in that class is wired the right way in terms of their competitive makeup, their love of the game, the way they prepare every day out here on the practice field. Sauce has a unique swagger. His length is unbelievable. Ball skills, his instincts, his preparation. Garrett Wilson has such unique route running ability, explosiveness at the top of the routes, unbelievable ball skills, run after catch ability. Breece Hall, who's doing phenomenal in his rehab right now. He's so smooth. It's hard for guys to get a gauge on him because of his play speed. He can hit the edges so fast and run by people. And he's a big man that runs with great power. Jermaine Johnson, who frankly we had a very deep end room last year and this year. But when he was on the field, he made a lot of positive things happen. Heavy hands, quick feet, good takeoff, can bend the edge, great change of direction. There's a lot of guys with high upside from last year's class, and they're all excited to be on the field together, working with each other.
Joe, I can't make many guarantees, but one that I can always make is whenever I say last question, it means I eventually come up with just one more. You mentioned Breece Hall. Give me a percentage chance as of right now that we're going to see him in uniform playing week 1 for that Monday night game against the Bills.
Yeah, look, I think we're all hopeful that that could be a possibility. There's still a lot of meat on the bone in terms of his return to play protocols and his rehab. He's in a great place right now. I would say he's ahead of schedule from where he's supposed to be, and he's hitting unbelievable top end speeds already on our GPS in his rehab. So I know he's going to be chomping at the bit to get on the field early. So we're gonna have to do a good job of protecting him against himself a little bit because he's so motivated, so hungry, and attacking rehab the way he is. So we're going to see we have very detailed checkpoints for Breece to hit in his rehab, and we're going to follow that to a T because I think we all saw last year the weapon that he can be with the ball in his hands.
Joe, this was excellent. I appreciate your time so much. Congratulations on one of the most intriguing off seasons for any NFL team. All the best as we get closer and closer to week 1 and beyond.
Thanks, Mike. Good to be with you.